Harris, host of Veronica Harris Show, and I have with me here today
co-host extraordinaire Gregory Harris.
Who are you today?
I'm the co-host.
Okay.
Mr. Co-host.
Nothing going on over there. Well, today we are very lucky to have a return guest, friend of the show. Can you guess who that is?
Yeah, I know who it is. It's Will Flowers.
Yes, owner of the DC Cyclone. Oh, the champion.
Two-time champ now.
But two-time champion DC Cyclones. How you doing, Will Flowers?
I'm good. How's everybody?
We're doing well. Like I said, you're a friend of the show. You're back again. The last time we had you on, you had just come off of a championship run, and now we have you back, and you're off of another championship run. So we definitely want to talk about what that run was like this year, maybe how it was different from the first time you did it. But just to remind our people of who you are, besides owning the DC Cyclones, which you owned for the past 7 years and have guided to 2 championships, you also do a lot of other things, specifically in the field of performance improvement, performance training, if you will. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
So I'm a performance enhancement coach. We're specifically focused on improving performance. So I have the Coach Will Training Academy, where it focuses on basketball, tennis, and golf. I've been doing that for over 20 plus years, and got a couple of kids to college and in the pros, and even at the US Open. So I'm doing okay as far as putting out product representing this area.
Wow, would you say US Open? Because at first, when I was first introduced to your performance improvement, I primarily thought about basketball.
Right.
But when I was reading your bio, I said US Open. Well, I like tennis. I watch the US Open. Anybody we would know?
Right now, the young lady is about 16, 17. And
okay, so she's juniors.
Yeah, no. She was a junior, maybe I think last year, but now she's like ranked somewhere in 100, somewhere like that. Doing an incredible job at a young age. So the sky's the limit for this young lady.
Okay, so I will definitely make sure when the U.S. Open happens and further at the end, towards the end of the year, at the end of August, in September, I will definitely be looking out, seeing if I can see, well, who could that? I'll be looking for you in the stands. I'll be like, who is there?
One day. I'll definitely be at the City Open, though.
Okay, all right, cool.
Hey, Will, other than the performance enhancement stuff and the basketball stuff, how's the any other endeavors? I know you're really fun. I know you were doing like comedy at one point, right?
I feel Kevin Hart jokes coming along, Greg. I know what you're doing. No, so outside of training in DC Cyclones, I do leadership training. So as far as going to organizations, working on some leadership skills, teamwork dynamics, I definitely do that. But lately, my passion is with sports. So what I've tried to do is just bring them all together. Because tennis is really a one-on-one sport, and it plays with your mind. So unlike basketball, you have teammates to sharpen you. Hey, you didn't see me. I'm open in the corner, and so you have that constant, iron sharpen iron immediately. But with tennis, there's not a quick reinforcement of behavior, so they don't know necessarily what to do in that moment. And so a lot of times it's the game within the game that you have to work on strategies to help them get over the hump, help them master their emotions. So I brought that leadership aspect to my performance enhancement.
Okay, that's very interesting. I never even looked at it that
Because
way.
he talks about in his bio, it says psychological training.
Okay.
And mental rehearsal. What's that? We kind of talk about the game as mental, but me as a trainer, I don't really touch on the psychological part with my clients. What does that look like in your training?
So before any game, a lot of players who reach a certain level, they go see a psychologist, sports psychologist. And what they have them do is make sure they take some time out to rehearse the game. And a lot of times you rehearse the game in such a way that the brain is already mapping out how to respond to stimuli. And so by the time you actually execute, it's not 1, 2, 3. It's a smooth stroke, or it's a smooth release. And so it's the mind body brain connection to where everything comes off much more naturally, much more instinctual, and it just allows performance to peak at another level.
Can you provide like a little bit more of a concrete example of what that would look like? So let's just say Gregory here.
So
player.
What you would do? What you would do? That's sister love right there. So what you would do before a game? So let's just say all week long, you've been working on your release, or you've been working on your steps for your release, making sure you get both feet under you. And so you would actually rehearse that without necessarily going through the physical steps. Mentally, you would, rehearse it, see it in your mind, mental imagery, and then go through the rehearsal cognitively. And so you spend 20, 30 minutes by yourself, but really focusing on those, mechanical movements to where it'll transfer over a lot more smoothly in the game.
So are you like sitting as the player or the client, if you will? Are they like sitting in a quiet space with their eyes closed and they're seeing themselves like come down the court, dribble the ball, step in?
Visualization, right? Yeah.
Ask him the questions. Or is it like you're on the court and you're like, you're by yourself and you're just going through the motions, but as you're going through the motions, you're also reinforcing what it is you're seeing both visually and in your mind's eye?
Actually, it's really a combination of both, and it depends on the learner. So a lot of times people learn differently, and you have to, as far as my responsibility is, adjust to the learner. So a lot of it for one individual could be actually going through. So you'll see a lot of players like going through the steps that don't even have the ball. Or you'll see someone sitting alone and just quietly just looking like into space, but they're actually rehearsing everything that they need to do as far as that game.
Well, as I hear this, I get a lot of a Karate Kid vibes. I don't know, Mr. Miyagi. Is that what you get? Is that what you get, Mr. Miyagi? Shifu, Kung Fu Panda, Shifu.
Didn't you do this when you were competing?
I did some version of it,
like that.
But it really wasn't that big of a deal when, I'm older, obviously older than you. That wasn't as big of a deal. I think it's more of a big deal now because especially with the whole, not that the mind-body connection wasn't known, but I think with mental health and everything that now that's coming up, it plays a bigger part, and not just the physical training, but there is a lot of mental training that goes on now. We're not going to dive in. We're just going to touch. We're just going to touch.
Busy man, he ain't got all day to be answering the question again after he answered the question. You asked it again in another way. You want a different answer? Come on, Ron. We just got to touch on it now.
I just wanted a more concrete example for our listeners out there.
Oh, for you. You ain't.
Get on with it, Gregory. Come on, keep going.
So, with women's sports taking off like they are,
yes.
Tell us all about. That's all you. Will, I know you were up behind it. Will, tell us how you did it.
Yeah, it was all me.
Now, DC Cyclone, he's seen this coming. So he started the league. He started the women's. He got involved in the women's league, and next thing you know, it's a coincidence. Now all of a sudden, women's sports is hot right now.
Are you specifically talking about women's basketball?
I'm talking about women's sports in general.
So there is, Brother Harris is right. There is a lot more attention to women's sports. And I think a couple of years ago was the anniversary of Title IX with women's soccer. And so they were bringing much more needed attention to how, resources were not given to women athletes as it was to men. And so when I got involved with the league, I just saw that there was a need. And so from that standpoint, wherever there's a need, I just want to bring attention to it. I have a passion for sports, the same well as a passion for psychology and human, the ability for people to develop. I'm interested in human development, and so I just want to see whatever field I'm instructing or teaching. I just want to see people be at their best. That's literally what I'm passionate about. And so once I saw that there was something that I could do about it, and I have a background in it, I just jumped both feet in it.
So for you, seeing the need is that there were women that still wanted to play basketball. Maybe they had just got out of college, maybe they've been a couple of years removed from college, and just offering them a platform or a showcase where they could show their skills that they could hopefully somebody else would see and take them, to maybe playing overseas or playing in another level. Is that what you were looking for?
That was the goal. I literally remember a young lady who went to Fordham, and I trained her since she was in the 9th grade. As a matter of fact, I was her coach. So we won a state title. I went on to be in corporate America. She, continued in high school. And so, after her playing career, she was like, I still wanted to play, but not necessarily, take my career to overseas. So after that conversation, I was really inspired from a standpoint of what could I do to be a part of that development, a part of that career journey. So a part of my background is career development, right? And so I'm thinking it from a career development standpoint, and as well as a coach, strength and conditioning coach. And so from that standpoint, it just mirrored what I wanted to do and how I wanted to vehicle my career and other people's career.
You're kind of like one-stop shop. You can go to you for personal training, physical training, career development.
The Lord has blessed me.
Exactly. The Lord has blessed you.
And he can write you a comedy special.
But let's talk about the DC Cyclone, the two-time champion DC Cyclone. So this year, you brought on this man, Brother Gregory.
Yes.
Onto your coaching staff. And, well, first of all, why?
Well, I met Gregory the first time I did the show. So what is this? This is my third time doing the show? Because it was just me the first time. Then I brought Kaya with me.
Yes.
And now this particular time. So, after talking to Greg, here's one thing that you can read right away. One of my skill sets is I can discern. And one of the things that came across from Greg is that he has passion. Number one. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, he's a family man. Like, you guys are family-oriented people. And so from that standpoint, it's not like, he knows my saying. It's not what you do, it's who you do it with. And so in college, I used to work construction, right? Right. So I was at Andrews Air Force Base, helped building the runways for the plane. And it was me and my buddy, and it was back-breaking work. But it wasn't that bad because I had my friend with me. And so from that standpoint, it's not what you do, it's who you do it with. And after meeting Greg and after, dialoguing with Greg, we kept in touch. So, I'm in love with your mom is my mom.
Oh.
Like, I really love your mom. And so from that standpoint, and, it was a no-brainer. It was literally no-brainer. It kind of walked out itself, literally.
Well, you're very good at discerning, but as a performance enhancement or performance improvement, you're very good at quickly identifying the things that need to be fixed or need to be, tweaked in order to get optimal performance. So what did you feel your team needed to get to the championship level that they got to? And how did Gregory fit into
that? So I needed to step away. Right? I needed to be owner. And so I didn't want to be necessarily the strength and conditioning coach. I didn't want to be the assistant coach. I wanted the coaches to do their thing. Because even at, you're the owner, but there's so many things that you have to do, right? And the last thing I want to do is be on the court as far as what's important. that's still my passion, but that's not what's necessarily needed.
Yeah,
So
because I went to a couple games and I saw you on the court still. I was like,
okay, you got me. You got me. You got me. So, so where Greg came in was, I knew number one, Greg knew the game of basketball. Number two, he was significant in developing players. And so a lot of guys are threatened if they do the same thing. I don't care, right? It's about getting the job done at the end of the day. And so I thought the world, I've never seen Greg train, but our conversations about training was detailed. And so whether I understood his philosophy or not, that doesn't matter. But I knew he was detailed enough to where there was a result that he was looking after. And so when you run an offense, you know where the third pass or the fourth pass is coming. You definitely know where the first three are coming from, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's about having a strategy. So last year, I'll say it like this: before Greg came, we had great plays, like great plays. When Greg came, we had a great offense.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a big difference because now you can plug and play. And so one of the conversations I definitely do remember, I said, Greg, we're one superstar player away. Right?
No,
Will said that.
No, but he's known for saying like you're 1 year away or you're one play away, but okay.
Well, yeah, we're one superstar away. Like we have a lot of good pieces. Like we literally had a lot of good pieces before this conversation. That we could definitely win a lot of games. But for me, it's not winning. It's about championships. It's about being the best, right? So I said, Greg, we are one play away. He said, you think so? I said, yes. You think so? Definitely. So he found that one player. We brought her in. In my opinion, she should have been the MVP for the championship game. Mm-hmm. And so from that standpoint, when he brought her, when Greg brought this young lady in, Whitfield, I knew that we were okay. Based upon our conversations, based upon what was already on the floor, it was just a rehearsing of the first day I met Greg, or the first conversation we had about basketball. It's like train tracks. It just followed one another to the destination. And so that was huge. She was very vital on the floor. She was a leader on the floor. So I from that standpoint, it was just no brainer. And he brings a lot.
You know, I actually came into Will saying, hey, Will, I don't know which way you're going next year, but, you know, I'm kind of interested in being involved. I want to, be involved with working with semi-pro girls. And, he brought me in and it was a pleasure working with him. And like he said we were one player away. And I just happened to be at the gym and seen a young lady shooting on the other end. Took about a couple of jump shots. I said, well, she looked like she might, be a good fit, and brought her in, and then we started. We started in, the season runs from June to August, September.
We started training camp in June, and then our first game was the first week of July, and then the championship week is the first week of October. So the playoffs, September, regular season, August and July.
So I remember the first practice, I'm there, and Will gives us the opening speech, the vision and stuff like that. You remember your vision speech?
I really don't.
But it was a good one. It had to be. It was a good one. It got the people inspired.
And so he gives us the speech, and then we're looking at the roster, and we got to get the roster down to 12. 15. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, how we even gonna play 15? He's like, Greg, we want to need them. I'm like, we can't use all 15. Greg, we're going to need all 15. I'm like, well, he's like, they're not going to all be there at the same time. So we've been going back and forth with that all the time. And we'll step in, say, hey, this, and then he go back to being the owner. And then me and the coach would be like, man, we don't need to go all like this over here. Keep stepping in and stepping out. Just let us stay over there. But I remember us getting started, and the first thing we had to do was get that roster down to 12. Once we got it down to 12, I'll let you take it over from there, Will.
I think once Greg cut everybody,
I was getting them out of there. I don't want to get out of there. Don't need that, because I wanted a roster of 10. I was cutting anything I could.
No, because number one, the ladies did an incredible job, and but we wanted to mold the team into what offensively Greg wanted to do, and defensively Coach West wanted to do.
And Coach West was the head coach.
Coach West was the head coach, but they have Greg focused on the offense, Coach West focused on the defense, and so we were trying to tweak it to where we can blend everybody's talents together, and so that's when Greg's axe came out. So because the first game we had all 15 and we dominated the game. There were some things that we wanted to work on, but throughout the first two games, we started relieving players, and unfortunately, but that's the business. And so once we really started figuring out, the personalities of the players, the temperament of the players, what roles they were going to play, I think, and it was after one loss, I think it clicked for us, and we just became, that engine, especially after that one loss. That one loss, I thought we kicked it up. That one loss, identified us that we can be beat. As good as we are, we can be beat. And so from that moment on, there was a new fight, a new hunger. And so that's what I was excited to see.
So out of everything that happened the whole year on the road to the championship, what do you think was the most significant thing that perhaps you've learned from this that you're going to take with you to the next, to the upcoming season?
Trust. So we were trying to figure out how all three of us was going to work, right? So it's like being a parent and you have children, right? And so, we had to have a stand as a staff. And so from that moment, it had to, in order for something to stand, it has to have opposition, right?
Okay.
And so it has opposition, it bounces back. And so we were able to have a lot of opposition during the season to where, like, hey, this is how it goes. This is period. And so now we have, from that standpoint, there's a level of trust between, all three of us to where it trickles down. And so that's really what, personally I have in Greg and Wes. And so it's one of the things that I appreciated, because even after the game, if one of them was like, hey, I'm at such and such place, get something to eat with me, I love to kick it with those two. So that's one of the things that I've learned.
And I know one of the things that I found to be very, because Gregory, he and I talk, and he'll call me and just to bounce things off. And I know for him it was a learning experience in terms of dealing with people, because as you can see, Gregory is one way. If you know me, you can see how I can be one way, and just realizing that we have to switch up how we operate sometimes is a challenge. But it's one that he never shies away from. You may have to talk him into it, but he speaks very highly of you and of Wes. And as a female, looking at, the state of relationships with African American males, sometimes we talk about, like, African American males need to have healthy relationships. and how they go about doing that. So to see three grown men having a healthy relationship and being able to navigate, the various challenges that they will have, I think is an example to, an example to be shared with other people as well.
So real quick story. We'll remember this. You gonna laugh. So I'm cutting him. Will's bringing two more to try out. I'm like, I'm trying to get the numbers down. He keeps bringing girls to try out. So we're playing, we're going along, and Will would tell, I'd ask Will what he's looking for, what's the vision, like how he wanted to go. He'd tell me. We talk, me and Wes would talk. He'd tell me what he want to do. And then I go out there and, try to get it done. Like you said, like just the way I know, like can't be concerned about this, that, and the other. I'm just concerned about the basketball. So I'm telling Will, that's what he said. I said, Will, I don't care about none of the players. I don't care about, all I care about is the basketball part. Like he said, Greg, don't say that again.
Don't say that again, ever.
You're basketball enthusiast, and you care about me. But like you said, we were family. He did the family part, like, and they allowed me to just do what I was comfortable doing with just the basketball part, and it really worked out really well. The one game we lost, I wasn't there, so I was undefeated. We were the top scoring team in the league, and walked away with the championship. But we did have a lot of talent. We would get together, man, and we have our at our sponsor, we would have our after game outings, and you got to bring two shirts. Got to bring two shirts to those events.
Well, I would just say that once again, Will is over here cracking up. Will said, "Don't ever say that again." And what you meant to say, no, you're a basketball enthusiast, and you have to care. I mean, we know you care about players because I've seen, you're a teacher, and so you want to think about if you're a coach or a teacher, you have to care about people. You have to care about the people that you're training, that you're teaching, that you're educating. So, but I do understand your point where when you are very good at something, you really do care about that end result. You care about that thing. And however it gets there, maybe you're not too concerned about it, but you're concerned about that thing. Would you agree with that, Will? Would you say that would be on point?
Number one, it's a balancing act, really, because you have the end in mind first.
Correct.
Really, and so everyone wants to step on the gas and get to the end, right? But the journey is, how do I navigate the relationships to get to the end? And so there is a duality there of, identify the person. This is where your role is for us to get to the end. And so one of the conversations that me and Greg had, I was like, hey, Greg, when the next person comes back, tell them when you come back, do this, right? So even though, you know how like a player makes a mistake, they get taken out. So you can clearly see their frustration, right? But the coach's job is to go, hey, when you get back in, do this instead. And so you're still giving her the instruction, but you're identifying how they feel in that moment just by addressing their emotional need of being taken out for doing something, wrong. And so, I'm trying to, because you're still dealing with women who respond differently than men. And so that's where, your skills come in to where, you have to address the need, the appreciation, and then we can go on, right? Versus a guy, you go, hey, let's address the task. That's how you do it. And then, you dap them up. So it sometimes it's kind of reverse with women. And so that's the tricky part, because it's not necessarily all the time, how you interact with women or how you interact with guys. It's how you interact with someone's temperament. And so you really have to kind of, feel and, kind of play double dutch, jump in and jump out.
Okay. I like that.
And so that's kind of our conversation.
Now, is that the MA from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology coming out? Is that what that is right there?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I learned a lot from Morgan State University. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Well, clearly you are very learned gentleman, I would say, very learned. And we have learned a lot from you here today. And just my one takeaway from it is something I know I can use, and I'm pretty sure some of our other viewers can use, is that it's not, let's say, it's not what you do, it's who you do it with. And when it comes to, I guess we said building a team, it's okay to have the hatchet man here, but then you also need the person who has the soft skills to communicate effectively with the people and to deal with that temperament, to help navigate that temperament. It's not that, women are from Mars, men are from whatever they used to say about that, but it's how we navigate the temperaments of the people that we are dealing with. And that's what they say a lot of coaches are, is about navigating personalities at this point. That's what we have to do. So I think that's what I got from this. Is that what you get from this?
What I got is I'm going to try to implement a little more of that psychological training that we talked about with the athletes I'm working with this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Will, for being
not
here.
A problem. Thank you for inviting me back. I appreciate it.
We will definitely look forward to supporting you and supporting your future endeavors. If anybody is ever interested in yes. Get close in on that. Yes.
I want to be a part of a community to where the community could support the team, but also have the kids be a part of their development. So, there's audiovisual programs to where kids can be a part. Did you guys freeze? Or y'all just looked at me? Okay, no, you're good. Y'all know what's up. Yo.
No, don't cut that out, Tony. Keep that in there.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Shout out to Coach West.
Yes, shout out to Coach West, head coach, Coach West, and shout out to Gregory, aka Hatchet Man Harris.
We've been shouting out Greg this whole time. I mean, this has really been the Greg show.
Well, thank you again, and we will see all of you next time here on the Veronica Harris Show. And we always like to say what now?
Deuces.
See you.